Okay, so, like, have you ever worn, like, one of those lucky charms? Like, maybe there's a certain coin you always carry around, or a piece of jewelry.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's
Yeah.
like you're tapping into this ancient thing,
Right.
this belief system that's, like, hardwired into us, This idea that spirits can actually inhabit objects.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're going to be diving into today,
Okay.
going, like, way deep into the history of belief itself, from, fetishes to flags.
I love it.
Get ready for some serious aha moments. So when we talk about fetishism,
Okay.
it's easy to get the wrong idea, right?
Yeah, and you might be surprised to learn that it isn't about, like, worshiping the object itself.
Right?
It's more about the spirit that's, like, believed to reside within it.
Okay.
So think of it this way. That rabbit's foot you've got, it's not really about the fur. It's more about the spirit or the essence of luck it's supposed to contain.
Oh, okay. So it's not just about, like, ghosts then.
Right.
We're talking, like, a whole spectrum of the supernatural, from,
Yeah.
like, my great Aunt Edna's spirit to, like, a grumpy rain cloud just hanging out in a pebble.
You've got it.
Yeah.
And it all comes back to early humans trying to understand this world they couldn't explain.
Right.
Imagine trying to understand disease or, like, natural disasters,
Oh, yeah.
even just bad luck without any concept of science. It's a lot. So spirits residing in objects provided a framework, a way to make sense of the unexplainable.
So it's kind of like my crops failed because I insulted the spirit of that rock over there.
Exactly.
Okay.
But here's where it gets really fascinating. The sheer variety of things that became, fetishes. Of course, you got the predictable ones, but then it gets really interesting.
Like what?
Why volcanoes but not mountains, for instance?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, mountains seem pretty fetish-worthy to me.
Well, you got to think. Volcanoes were active, unpredictable, dangerous. They
Yeah.
commanded a certain respect. Mountains, not so much.
Yeah, I can see that. But what about animals?
Okay, sure.
Those seem like, a more relatable kind of fetish, at least to us.
Animals were huge. And again, it goes back to fear or the uncanny. Like the Parsis in ancient Persia.
Mm-hmm.
If they saw a dog eating human flesh, which honestly is pretty unsettling,
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
that dog would become taboo,
Really?
as if it absorbed some of the human spirit just by consuming the body.
So not your average house pet, then? Okay, this next one's a bit of a head-scratcher for me. Tell me about the cow, because apparently it wasn't as straightforward as you'd think.
Oh, the cow is a perfect example of how complex, even contradictory, these belief systems could be.
Okay.
In some cultures, cows were almost godlike, revered, but drinking their milk. That was taboo.
What?
But get this, their excrement, highly prized, thought to be, like, incredibly potent.
Wait, hold up. They're worshiping cow dung, but they won't touch a glass of milk.
Exactly.
What's the logic there?
You got to remember, it's all about the spirit, right? The
Yeah.
essence within the object. Milk, being life-giving, may have been too sacred for everyday use.
Okay.
But cow dung, that could be associated with fertility, the Earth's ability to provide.
Interesting.
It's all about the associations humans were making back then.
Okay, I think I'm starting to see the method behind the apparent madness here. So we've gone from random pebbles to powerful volcanoes, even to taboo fruits. It seems like almost anything could have this spiritual significance.
Right.
But how do we go from these kind of personal fetishes, like a rabbit's foot in your pocket, to those shared symbols we see today, like flags or national emblems?
That's where the need for social cohesion comes in.
Okay.
As humans started forming those bigger groups, those individual beliefs had to evolve into something more, collective.
Right, and that's where totemism comes in, right? Where a whole tribe might adopt an animal as their, sacred symbol.
Precisely. And totemism is really fascinating because it's this beautiful merging of the social and the religious. The totem animal wasn't just a symbol of the group. It was also a powerful entity, a protector, even a god.
So they're worshiping it, but also drawing this sense of shared identity from it.
Exactly.
It's like the ultimate team mascot. But there's another crucial step in this journey from fetish to flag, and it involves a word that still sparks, fascination today: magic.
When you think about it, magic wasn't that different from early science.
Hold on. Are you saying Merlin and Einstein were on the same wavelength?
Not exactly.
Yeah.
But think about the core goals of magic. You've got predicting the future.
Okay.
Well, that's what, meteorologists do every day, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
And then you've got influencing the environment, making things happen. That's agriculture, engineering, even medicine in a nutshell, really.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
It all boils down to this. Magic, just like science, was driven by this very human desire to understand and control the world around us.
It's just that they were working with a different set of tools.
Exactly, a different worldview.
Instead of like test tubes and equations, you've got spells and rituals and,
Exactly.
But like what kind of things were they trying to achieve with all this magic? I mean, what were they using it for?
Well, let's start with something relatable, love.
Okay. Everyone loves love.
Love charms were incredibly popular.
Oh, yeah.
Often made from bodily fluids.
Okay, now that's a little less relatable.
Right.
Maybe not first date material.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But, hey, it just goes to show that people out then were looking for that love connection, just like we are today.
That's true, that's true. What about something a bit more practical, though?
Okay, say you were trying to close a tough business deal.
Okay.
Chewing on a piece of wood was thought to help soften the seller's resolve.
Really?
Or, if you really wanted to up the ante, you could try influencing someone through an effigy.
Wait, you mean like a voodoo doll?
Similar idea, but instead of sticking pins in it, they might whisper prayers, offer gifts,
Okay.
even harm the effigy in some way, all with the belief that it would directly impact the actual person.
It's like the ancient version of, I don't know, subtweeting someone, but with way higher stakes.
Right. And here's the thing, that whole idea of a connection between, a representation of something and the real thing.
Yeah.
That wasn't just limited to objects.
Oh, really?
Take names, for example.
Okay.
In many cultures, names were seen as incredibly powerful, almost like an extension of the soul itself. Actually, speaking someone's name, especially a deity's name, that was serious business.
Oh, wow.
A delicate act. Sometimes even dangerous, they thought.
It's like that old saying, speak of the devil, but like taken to a whole other level.
Exactly. And the thing is, for all its flaws, or all its, reliance on superstition,
Right.
magic actually played a really important role in human intellectual development.
And how do you figure that?
Think about it. Magic, at its core, required observation. Right? It required experimentation, trial and error. Even if those experiments were based on, well, what we would now consider faulty assumptions.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
It was that fundamental drive to understand how the world worked, to find the connections between cause and effect that was the seed of scientific inquiry.
So while they were busy looking for answers in spells and potions, those early magicians were kind of like the original scientists.
Exactly. They just didn't have the right tools or the right framework, really, to decode what they were observing.
Right, right. So if you trace that thread through history, you can actually see how these magical beliefs gradually evolved into, more recognizable scientific disciplines.
Precisely. Take astrology, for example. With its careful observation of the stars and the planets, it eventually gave rise to astronomy.
It's like they were trying to read the universe like a giant, celestial horoscope.
And then you've got alchemy, the pursuit of the mythical philosopher's stone. This substance they believed could grant immortality and, get this, allow them to transmute elements.
Talk about ambitious goals.
Right. They never quite managed to turn lead into gold.
What?
But those alchemists made huge strides in metallurgy, developed techniques that we still use today.
So from staring into cauldrons to peering through telescopes, from mixing potions to, formulating equations, it's incredible how far our understanding of the world has come.
It really is.
But has it really, though? I mean, we like to think that we're above all that superstition and stuff nowadays. But are we really that different from our ancestors who, believe that a well-placed pebble could ward off evil?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And that's what we'll be unpacking next. Because as much as we like to believe we've evolved past magical thinking, echoes of those ancient beliefs are still very much alive and well in our modern world.
So we've journeyed from, spirits and pebbles all the way to, the birth of science from magic, basically.
And now for the real challenge.
Yeah.
Holding up that mirror to our own, modern-day beliefs.
Right.
Because, with all our modern advancements, do we still, hold on to those little pieces, those remnants of magical thinking? It's more common than we think, probably.
I know. It's like we've mapped the genome.
Right.
We navigate with satellites. But I'm willing to bet that most of us have still, knocked on wood for good luck.
Yeah.
Or felt a chill when someone mentions the evil eye,
Exactly. And it's not just those, those little rituals.
Yeah.
The language itself, it betrays us. Think about it. We talk about being spellbound by a performance.
Right.
Or possessed by an idea.
Or even inspiration.
That's right. It's like that word is rooted in this belief that a divine spirit could, enter you and give you creative powers.
It's like those terms are these linguistic fossils. Echoes of a time when, magic wasn't just for fantasy novels. And let's not forget about luck, astrology, the power of positive thinking.
It's all like remnants of our fetishistic past.
Mm-hmm.
This desire to find meaning in randomness, to control what we can't control. It's a constant in human history, really.
It makes sense, though, right? I mean, we might not be offering sacrifices to volcano gods these days, but that need to believe in, something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
Something that can, I don't know, shape our destiny. It's still there.
It is. It is. It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah. So, okay, maybe those early humans weren't so far off the mark after all. What do you think they'd make of our world today, though? Can you imagine trying to explain, the internet to someone who thinks a rock has a spirit?
Oh, I know. Or artificial intelligence. It'd probably fry their brains.
Right. Although, knowing what we do now, maybe they'd find it strangely familiar.
How so?
Well, because we're still wrestling with the same big questions that they face, right? What is consciousness? What are we doing here? What does it all mean? The tools have changed,
right?
But the questions themselves...
They're timeless.
Exactly.
It makes you think.
It does. And those echoes of the past, I think they actually challenge us to really think critically about what we choose to believe,
Absolutely. Take the cheese fingernails we talked about before. Relics. Yeah. Infused with this. Supernatural power. Carefully preserved.
Okay. Morbid, but I'm with you.
Now, fast forward to today. The obsession with celebrity culture, right? We collect their belongings, analyze their every move. We give them these, almost mythical qualities.
Are you saying that our fascination with, I don't know, a pop star's used tissue isn't all that different from, revering some chief's fingernail from centuries ago?
Food for thought, wouldn't you say?
That's unsettlingly insightful, I gotta say.
And it really makes you wonder, what will future generations think is magical about our beliefs and practices?
It's a humbling thought to be a part of this long, strange trip of human belief. And I think it reminds us that, our understanding of the world, it's always evolving. What we consider to be unshakable truth today might just be, tomorrow's quaint superstition.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of it all, isn't it? We're not defined by where we've been, but by our willingness to keep exploring, to keep asking questions, and to embrace that mystery of it all.
That is beautifully said. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder this. 1,000 years from now, what will our descendants consider magical about our beliefs and practices? Until next time, keep diving deep.